All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Purple Friday Show. This is actually episode 199. I went back and did the counting of all the episodes I've done from my old house to when I moved into my wife's house and now this house. Last week was 198, so this is 199. So we're one away from 200.
Oh man, what are we doing for 200?
I don't know. We'll figure it out. May a drink on show our drinks or something. I don't know, bourbon or whiskey day or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Definitely gotta take a shot at least.
But on to just good news. The Baltimore Ravens. But I see we got our shades on today because it's Ravens Nation. Feeling ourselves a little bit. It was funny just a week ago. Literally just a week ago, everybody was talking about it's Amar worth the money. The Ravens aren't as good as they're supposed to be. The Ravens weren't even considered a top 5 team according to certain people on ESPN. And then the Ravens come out, against one of the best defenses in the league. They had one of the best. I think they said they've been beating everybody by 14 points up to this point, and the Ravens come out there 38-6. If it wasn't for the fumble by Justice Hill on that drive, I think ended the first half, it would have put up 40 on them. It'd been like 45. Like they were rolling, and I was at the game. The Lions fans were mainly right behind the Lions bench on that side. They were loud. They brought the flags. They were chanting before the game and some kind of I don't know, because they had their own chanting stuff that they do for Lions country. But by the end of that first quarter, it was a wrap. The Ravens were already up 21-0 by the end of the first quarter. So I'm like, yeah, it was a wrap. They got real quiet, and then they started emptying after halftime. So, look, dominant win by the Ravens. Let me get your guys' takes real quick before I get to mine. So, what do you guys think about the game?
Man, what a time Sunday was, man. It just felt good. Like, it was a feeling that it's been a while. I think the last time I felt like that might have been maybe one of the 2019 games, maybe. But for some reason, it still ain't feel like this. I think the way we won that game, it just spoke volumes to the sky is literally the limit is what I'm trying to say. From what we've seen is what we've been kind of asking for. It's actually been what we saw on Sunday was way more than what we've asked for. We just wanted a little bit more. It wasn't even what the show they actually put on was something that I don't think anybody was expecting. A lot of people had us losing this game, and understandably so, because just the way we've been playing up to this point, inconsistent. It's kind of like a crapshoot. You just never know what team we're going to get when we show up. I did like the fact that it was a home game that fared well, but I enjoyed that game from the very beginning. I think that game was probably the first game that we won a coin toss, and we elected to take the ball. I thought that was very, very telling. Yeah. Obviously there's things with wind. It was really windy, so maybe that could have been a factor. They wanted to be able to control what direction we were in from the start. Justin Tucker and for those type of purposes. But nah, they wanted to make a statement. They wanted to make a statement early, and that's exactly what they did. I think we started the game 4 for 4 as far as TDs. We had the one little hookup with Justin Hill, like you mentioned, but outside of that, that was literally a perfect game. We literally could not have played any better. The fact that Lamar got to sit down with 8 minutes left in the game, or however long it was left in that fourth quarter, very telling. From watching on TV, it was very nice watching those Lions fans get up out their seats. Probably third quarter-ish, probably towards the middle towards the end of the third quarter. I seen them heading for the exits pretty early. Very, very good to see. And as far as the game itself, it's pretty much it was surprising the way how perfect we played against a team who has been playing very well. Not just this season. They finished off the year last year pretty strong, and he started off this season very strong. Beating the Chiefs, and then you know, they didn't really play too many teams after that. But I mean, you still got a 5-1 record. It's still the NFL. So, you know, people were really, really high on the Lions. So I think with all that factored in, just shows me it just made the win that much more impressive. So Todd Monken, when you talk about dialing it up, I mean, this was a game, you know, when you look at the box score, it's going to look like a very balanced game. I think it was 27 passes, 27 rushes for our offense. It wasn't really that balanced. This was just Lamar Jackson, do your thing. I mean, he was letting him do whatever he wanted out there. I mean, obviously it was schemed up. It was great play calls, but the guys were executing. And I think we were obviously missing that. That was really the biggest piece of why we lost those 2 games and why we haven't been as consistent, is because I think, you know, we were, you know, we've questioned play calling and things like that. This is a game where play calling would have been questioned had we not been executing, because we were throwing the football like a lot, like especially in that first half. Lamar was dealing, and that was kind of similar to what happened in Pittsburgh, except the receivers just weren't catching the ball. So this just shows you what can happen when our offense is clicking on all cylinders and guys are actually working around Lamar. Lamar naturally extended several plays in that game and bought himself time. But the offensive line did play very well in this game. They stepped up, not only just in the pass game, but even in the run game. I mean, those guys were playing like it literally looked like 2019 as far as the run game, as far as like just what I saw from the linemen, the pulling, Stanley putting the guy in the bleachers. Like it looked very 2019-esque as far as how that offensive line performed. So that I love to see. And the receivers, I mean, they just showed up. They answered the call. I mean, clearly, you know, they took that last game and they grew from it. And you can see, not the last game, the Steelers game, and they grew from that. And you can kind of see how they've kind of progressed and got better in that London game against Tennessee. And, you know, they put it all together this past week against the Lions. So, yeah, just all around everything. I mean, Andrews looking like Andrews of old. We got to see for the first time, I would say for the first time, we saw Gus Edwards and where he really is with his recovery. And it looks good. I mean, yeah, he got walked down, but he looked good running. Like it did not look bad at all. Like he looked completely healthy running up that field. And then the next play, they handed him the ball again. I was like, come on, man. Like, man, don't get a rush. I think he just ran for 80 yards up the sideline, like stuff like that. And that's also another testament to what was happening, because I think a lot of it, you know, obviously was Lamar just being creative and just doing what he had to do. Like that play to Gus, that little quick when they kind of like ran to the right and the lineman kind of ran to the right with him and was blocking, and you thought that, you know, the Lions thought that he was going to run, and he just pitched it over. I know you guys watched the all 22 or parts of it, and Travis, I'm not sure if you saw the part where the guy was like, that wasn't no design play to Gus. I mean, they said Lamar pretty much just yelled his name probably. It kind of looks like that in the tape. And they just had to make that up on a run, and it worked out. And somehow no offensive lineman went downfield. Like it was just like, it's just awareness is what I'm saying. And it's just the way they were just kind of creative. When it was working, it was working. Like everything was clicking, everything was rolling. Zay looked great. Aguilar looked great. Odell looked great. Everybody looked great. Obviously, there's still some things to clean up as far as like, you know, in those certain plays where guys probably weren't in the right places, as far as the route running and things like that. Guys ending up in the same spot. I think that's just something that's over time they're just going to have to clean that up. But it didn't matter in this game because, you know, we would just kind of like I said before, just clicking on all cylinders. And I guess the last thing offensively, Bateman, I mean, he took a lot of heat in that Steelers game too. Probably the brunt of it, because I think out of all the drops, his was kind of the worst. But he showed up. I mean, it's not like we asked him to do a lot, but he made up for what he didn't do and what he lacked. So he looked a lot better, and I think the confidence is just going to keep rising. The fact that we had this road trip going to Arizona, I think that's going to fare well for those guys to continue building on that over there as well, even though we're on the road and we got a West Coast flight. So that's that's always good to see that from him and the rest of the guys as well. And defensively, man, this is really nothing to say. Like a pass rush is officially born in Baltimore again. Like it's there. Like I don't know what's gotten into these guys. I mean, I don't know if it's Dr. Rush. I don't know if it's just all Mike McDaniel just dialing up all of these creative stunts and things like that to get pressure to the QB. But we're seeing pressure on the QB, and it's not only from blitzes now. Like the first 2 weeks, the only pressure we saw really was when we had to blitz a few guys, and we're still doing that at a high clip. But our rushers are getting to him. Matabike, I don't know who this man is anymore. Like he always thought he was going to be him, but he's playing out of his mind. Clowney still getting as many pressures as he's been getting. Like he looks like a rejuvenated new player as well. The interior is just kind of crazy, and Owe is back as well. Like this game is like one of those unicorns. Like you just it's really not. We could literally go on forever and ever. Like I'm gonna let y'all get the rest. Cover everything else. But like it was just a joy to watch, man. I got to sit. I got to watch majority of that game like in a very relaxed state, but at the same time, it was hard to be relaxed, man, because I was jumping off the couch with all these big plays. So it was good to see. It was good to see Lamar pretty much play a perfect game. And my favorite part about the game, I think, outside of just all the electricity that was happening on the field, my favorite part is just post game. Everybody was just mellow. Nobody was really
overexcited.
Yeah, I mean they reacted as if this is what was supposed to happen, and they followed their leader. Because when Lamar got up there, and they seen a different attitude in Lamar. Lamar, it wasn't up there to just say, to gloat about what he just achieved, what the accolades were. He went up there and he said, yeah, it was a good game, but we had that fumble, and it's a couple of plays where we missed on, and that's what he was focused on. And you just love to see that out of your leader, like the fact that we're minutes after a win like that, and he's just it is what it is. Like he's already on Arizona at this point in his head. So I just love to see that leadership from him. Great game overall. Could not have asked any more than what we saw. And yeah, just looking forward to next week. But honestly, I'd just rather enjoy this for a few more days. Like I'm a fan. I get to enjoy it for as long as I need to. But yeah, I loved every bit of it. I literally have nothing bad to say about anyone. It was a well-coached game, well-played game. Kudos to the Ravens, man.
Yeah. I want to start with defense. Our defense, that pass rush, like you said, was immaculate. I mean, look, everybody's trying to steal our name that Miles invented for Owe, calling him almost, but he's not almost anymore. He has arrived. All right. He is here. He's rushing the passer. He's back off an injury. And I was looking forward to seeing what Owe would do, because we all know Owe is a beast in the run game. He's a beast. There's no doubt about that. But the pass rush has always been just a step too late. But he was in the backfield. He was a terror out there. Our whole pass rush was a terror. I've never seen a Baltimore team be so prolific all the way around as a pass rushing team. We usually have like some studs that are just like getting in the backfield, but like this is like a pass rush by committee in a sense, because everybody's eating. Everybody from all sides, Matabuke, Clowney, Owe, Vinoy, I know I'm missing somebody, but everybody's getting this. Arthur Millette.
Yeah, he got like 2 sacks in that game, I think.
So
looking good, man.
And we forgot Kyle Hamilton still sitting on his 3 sacks for the year.
Yeah.
But like we're just like, our pass rush is creative, but we also can rush you without having creative blitz packages. So I'm really excited about that. I mean, I think we did a great job. I know we took our foot off the gas defensively at the end of the game, but I mean, guys were getting out of the game, trying to move on to the next game. So who cares? I mean, Jared Goff got 200 something yards passing, but who cares? You know, Amon St. Brown got like 11 receptions for 80 yards, so I'll take that. Somebody got to catch the ball. Just didn't go nowhere. But the main thing is we kept them out of the end zone. But I want to talk about the secondary. We already know Roquan, Patrick Queen, they're beasts.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the secondary. First, Arthur Millette. Such an underrated signing. And to be honest, I forgot we signed him halfway through training camp. I'll be honest, I forgot. He just wasn't out there. But we plugged him in, and he has made an impact. The guy didn't play at all or practice at all in the preseason, but he's made an impact and has made his imprint on this team as a pass rusher and making plays and coverage. But I got to show my love, man. Brandon Stevens has arrived. Brandon Stevens is an above average number 2 corner. He has arrived. He's getting better as we speak. We've been wanting this for 3 years now. We didn't know if he was a corner, a safety, a hybrid safety linebacker. Do we need to put him back at running back? Does he have a spot on this team? We didn't know what to do with Brandon Stevens. We questioned the draft pick when he got drafted. I only rooted for the guy because I'm friends with one of his high school classmates. So it's this guy has arrived. I mean, he's improved every week. And you know what? I'll say, like, maybe we were too hard on him because, I mean, it's not his fault. He was like, had 1 season as a corner before he gets drafted, and then he's playing like 3 positions. This guy has done everything we've asked for him, and he's getting better, and he has been playing his heart out. So big shout out to Brandon Stevens, man. He is showing up for us every week. And it's to the point where I see a world where we have Marlon in the slot permanently, Brandon Stevens outside on one side, Darby / Rock Ya-Sin. I don't know what's up with Rock Ya-Sin, but Darby and Rock Ya-Sin on the other side. I see that's our best case scenario going through the rest of the season when it comes to our corners. But Brandon Stevens earned himself some money, and to be honest, Rock Ya-Sin, I don't know, man. He's not playing bad, but Brandon Stevens is just making you forget about him, and Rock Ya-Sin is just moving right on down that depth chart.
Yeah.
He's flipping guys. That's good to see.
You saw, yeah.
Yeah,
I say Brown tried him, and Brandon Stevens was like, nope.
Right. Found out.
But I mean, I'm just glad to see Brandon Stevens doing well.
Yeah.
Gino. Pay that man.
4 interceptions, man.
Pay that man. That's all I'm gonna say there. Let's go to this offense. All right, so Trey, I watched the All 22. I watched the NFL Plus, and then I watched it with JT O'Sullivan. I don't know what Kurt Warner is talking about right now. Kurt Warner's out there saying, like, we got the same scheme. Guys are running over each other. Yes, that has happened a couple of times. But when I'm looking at these plays develop in the passing game, it is night and day to what we have with Greg Roman. I mean, to see certain plays, like I'll take, for instance, looking at the play where in the early first quarter on the first drive, hitting Zay across the middle. For us to be able to clear out that much space for Lamar to hit that window, that's not something that existed under Greg Roman. I mean, we basically cleared it out, had Zay running a deep end, and that's not something that was there for Lamar a lot under Greg Roman. So I'm glad to see plays like that. Lamar is throwing the ball out of this world. I saw one play. It was he sidearmed it. He had a pass rush coming at him. He couldn't step into the throw, and he just flinged it with the 3/4 sidearm release, 26 yards downfield to Mark Andrews. Like, what? What are we looking at right now? Like, Lamar's arm talent is just insane. Like, his arm has gotten stronger from his rookie year. And I don't know if it's just been a part of his workout regimen, the off-season work he's done with his coach, or just confidence. Because, when you get that confidence, it starts to show in a lot of different ways. But Lamar is flinging the ball. And there was another throw. JT Sullivan highlighted it. It was I want to say it was like a 15-yard out
Oh
with
yeah,
anticipation
Zay Flowers.
to Zay on the sideline.
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
the first down. Yeah,
he dropped back. He threw it before Zay came out of his break because he saw the corner
Anticipated.
he was I think he was anticipating a comeback, but the corner wasn't in position and he had Zay right on that sideline. That's a throw Lamar didn't make in 2019 in his MVP year.
Mhm.
So to see him make that throw was just awesome. I mean, I just love everything about what Lamar did in that game. I love how we protected the offensive line. Great job. Great job. Lamar was under duress at times, but for the most part, I mean, this is a great defensive line. Well, that's what they told us. So we held our own. And I love our use of Pat Ricard, not only in the passing game some, but as that extra lineman / tight end, and really making him a threat to block and receive. He really did a great job with helping on Aiden Hutchinson. So great job there. Running backs, they did a great job. Sorry, I didn't get the ball more, but I mean Lamar was doing Lamar, so we had to call the game according to what was there. And we could. I said last week we could beat Detroit in the passing game, and we destroyed them in the passing game. So overall, offensively, I was really happy. I'm glad Rashad Bateman didn't make any mistakes. He made a couple catches, but I really just love the distribution of the ball. Like it feels like, I said we have a pass rush by committee, but it's like we got a wide receiver one by committee. You know what I mean? Because we have Zay that can hurt you in these areas. We got Nelson Aguilar who, he just comes out of nowhere and makes clutch plays or gets a touchdown every other game and just makes you go, wow. Odell is starting to warm up some. And then, if Bateman catches the ball, then he's making plays. And then you got Ultimate Mandrews out there who's always going to, make the big plays for you. So I just like the balance I'm seeing. I love, the play to Gus. I mean, hey, I didn't expect Gus to make it all the way down there. So, for him to get 80 yards is great. But I just love the balance in which we are approaching in the pass game. I think that played a huge role in our ability to completely dominate the Detroit Lions. So, excellent offensive game. Last, I just want to talk about the coaches. Man, we criticized Harbaugh so bad the week before. We criticized the coaching so bad, the Tennessee game, the Steelers game, the Colts game. But the coaches really stepped up. They had that team ready to play. Mike McDonald is scheming out of his mind this year. The way he is calling every game, he's scheming out of his mind. I'm super impressed because this guy was 2 years removed from being a D coordinator at Michigan. Before that, he was 1 year removed from being a linebacker.
He's a linebackers coach here in Baltimore. Yeah.
Like the experience isn't really there for him, but he's just so smart.
He got the mind.
He has the mind. He is play calling out of his mind. Todd Monken, he stepped up, and I think he's starting to figure out what he wants to do with this team. I think the craziest thing, and I'll end with this, is we still didn't play our best game. We still got so much room to get better. Guys are still not on the same page at certain times. It's not as bad as it's been, but we're still having that. We had to fumble. There's so much room to get better, and that's what's exciting about this team. There's so much room to get better. So, great game. Let's keep building from here.
It was. I mentioned on the defense real quick. They said there's 11 different players on the defense that have at least one sack in the Ravens right now.
That's crazy.
That's unheard of.
We're leading the league in sacks right now, right?
Yeah, lead leader in sacks by like a lot. Like it's not even really close.
I think it's by like 4.
Yeah,
or something like that.
And actually, Owe actually led the team in pressures, quarterback pressures in that game. Like you would think Matabike or Clowney, Owe coming off injury, have been injured for the last 3-4 weeks, led the team in quarterback pressures. So whatever they worked on while he was, hurt or whatever like that, like they've been working on since week 1, is starting to pay off now. It was exciting seeing Geno there get that 4th interception. The crowd everybody went crazy when Geno guys like he did it again. Like that man he just finds the ball. He's the playmaker. Like he's it was funny when Marcus Williams goes down. We were like, oh, how are we going to replace him? And Geno comes in. It was a seventh round draft pick, seventh round draft pick.
Yep.
Comes out of nowhere, and I mean, look, he's going to be a free agent at the end of this year. I mean, the Ravens going to have to try to sign that man before this year is out. They got to sign because it's going to be a team that wants a free safety net. I mean, he's got 4 picks. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You guys are right. Like the what they were like, you guys were saying about the defense, the way they're scheming. It's a lot of help defense. Like they're doing a lot of stunts. They showed the all 22s. Like you noticed, they like Madubuike will stunt for Clowney or Broderick Washington, and they'll do it for each other. Like this will be your play, this is my play, and they're all kind of help. No one's really getting a big head about no, I need to be the one guy doing it all the time. Everybody's like, no, let's just go eat. Like you said, Alton Millet's coming off the side. He's getting the sack. They said I think the Ravens have the most sacks from that nickel spot of any other team in the NFL. Like no team is really utilizing that nickel slot corner position for getting sacks like that. No one's doing that but the Ravens. So look, I don't know if it's this year, but I would have to assume in the next year or year or two, McDonald might be gone. Like he's that good. Like you consider they don't have a TJ Watt, they don't have a Myles Garrett, they don't have a Khalil Mack on this team, but he's finding ways to do it. And you're bringing in a Kyle Van Noy off the street, and he gets involved like right away. Yeah. You're bringing the best out of Clowney after. Look, let's be real. Everybody after he left the Browns was like, he might be washed. I think he's done. I think it's a wrap for him. And he's playing his best football he's ever played. I don't think he's ever played this good in the NFL. He's playing his best football there now. And you look, Queen got a sack in that game. I assume Queen has gotten a sack in every game so far. I think he's gotten at least one sack in every game so far.
Yeah.
It's amazing to watch this defense play right now. And let's say we went into training camp and they had the cornerback issues, and how the position coaches and how Mike McDonald have gotten these guys just knowing what they have to do, right? Everybody knows their job. Everybody knows their job and doing what they have to do. And said Brandon Stevens out here, like he may not be getting all the picks. He almost got one. He almost got one in that game. It was right there and he missed it. He's not getting the turnovers. If that ever changes, if he starts getting turning those it's gonna be a problem.
Good night.
On the offensive side of the ball, that Gus Edwards play, it was wild because it looked like it was like a bootleg, and like Gus just was kind of there and just kind of snuck behind the Lions defense. I think they lost him. Everybody was so focused on where Lamar was going, and Lamar just looks up and just tosses it over the top, and Gus just runs. Incredible. And we're in the stadium. We're kind of like, all right, he's going down the field. But then when he got past the linebacker that was chasing him, we were like, oh, he might go. He might be. Everybody stood up and like he was the only person that was down there. I think was a safety, was a strong safety, and he still farmed him for like another 5 yards. Like he still went. He got contact and still ran down 5 more yards.
He said he ran for how? They said
it was 20, like 80. It was 80. I think
20 points per hour.
Yeah, he was getting it. Like he was going. Crazy. I mean, it felt like every pass play they had, guys were wide open. Odell running through the middle of the field. Odell actually led the team in targets. I think he had 7 targets in the game. Wow. So he got his most. We said this, right? And everybody else has been saying it too. I think is as this goes on, especially the people who like Odell have said, as the weeks go on, Odell's going to get better. Like he's going to get better as long as he stays healthy. He's going to get better. Like we saw it, like especially in the Titans game. Crossing them. That's his route right there. That's that over the middle slant route. That's his money right there. He was getting plays like that, and then the Lamar play where the play probably broke down. Lamar's got like stuck in the pocket, and he runs into Stanley a little bit, and then rolls off of him and rolls to the right. And everybody in the crowd's like, Lamar, throw the ball away, throw the ball away. And he looks down the middle in the end zone, and there's Nelson Aguilar right there, and just throws it right to him, touchdown.
10 seconds.
Lamar has a 90. PFF has him at a 90.1 or something. He has the highest quarterback rating of all the quarterbacks right now in the NFL. He's the leader. He's the man right now. 90. He's averaging almost 70% completion percentage for the season. And then he didn't need to do that for his MVP year. Mm-mm. Like he's playing better than his MVP year. And even the guy, Kimmy Cusick, I think he does film study too for the Ravens and stuff on the radio. he even said, he was like, look, if the receivers catch the ball in that Steelers game, this is an exact copy of what would have happened. What happened in the Lions game is an exact copy. Lamar, he's like, we'd have been talking about Lamar as an MVP candidate 2 weeks ago if those receivers catch the football.
Mm-hmm.
He would have had 3 touchdowns in that game too and 350 yards. They're like, that's not even counting the yak yards the receivers would have gotten going to the end zone. So they say he probably could have been closer to 400 in the Steelers game. So, I mean, like, Lamar is playing out of his mind right now. It's like I said, they haven't played their best football. And I said, even after the game, the post game, they said the reporters were in the locker room and they said the defensive guys were kind of like, they weren't really happy. And they were asked one of the guys, why would you say, we let them score 6, man? We let them score 6. Like they were in the third quarter. And I think a lot of us in the stands were like, they might shut these dudes out. Like, they weren't getting nowhere near the end zone, nowhere near it. And they finally did score it. They scored the 1 touchdown. I think they missed the 2-point conversion.
Oh yeah, and but that 2-point conversion, you would have thought the game was on the line.
Oh yeah. I mean, like, I think it was
I love that.
Arthur Millette on that play. Arthur Millette read it perfectly and stopped it right in his tracks. So he didn't get anywhere near the end zone. So I mean, we said it last week, right? When is this offense going to match the intensity, match the attitude of this defense? And they did it. They did it in that Detroit. And when I think, Trey, like you said last week, is it appeared that Harbaugh was starting to step away from the analytics stuff a little bit, right? It appeared like he was letting kind of the flow of the game happen. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what it felt like. We were watching it like the Ravens, but they might, if they didn't have that fumble, like if they kept going, I think the Ravens were 5 for 6 in the red zone. 5 for 6 in the red zone after coming off the last 2 appearances and being 1 for 9, and they were 5 for 6 in one game. I think that it, and also I think that you can clearly tell that Lamar and Monken talk. You can clearly tell that Lamar and Monken, outside of just having the offensive meeting, like the whole unit, Lamar and Monken just work. You can tell Lamar is like, I want to do this. I want to do this. This is something I think I want to do more of. I want to put this wrinkle in there. Like I said, how many times we talk about putting in bootlegs? How many times just have Lamar run to one side of the field where the defense just follows him? That's going to leave somebody wide open. Mm-hmm. It's going to leave somebody wide open. And it's the same thing happened on the Ricard play and the Gus play. Lamar was running to one side of the field, and Ricard sitting there wide open, tosses it to him. I think that was a 45-yard run for Ricard. If he had Gus's speed, that was a touchdown. If he ran like Gus, that was going to be a touchdown. So, I mean, and that was the other part, the chunk plays. The chunk plays they were getting. I mean, they were getting 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards, 80 yards. Like, they were just – the Lions, they were doing it so fast, like the Lions couldn't keep up. The Lions defense could not keep up with anything they were doing on offense. And I love that clip they showed of Monken in on the skybox and the him like in the coordinators. He just smacked his hand. Like, I'm pretty sure he didn't mean he was like, get away. He was like, yeah, like he was.
I like seeing the emotion out of him.
He was feeling it. But again, they've been going all season and they haven't had that game yet. Like, the defense has been doing it all year, and offense hasn't had that game yet. And here they are. And I also want to mention real quick, they spent the media at large, right? Had numerous long segments. I'm talking about 20 plus minutes, right? On Lamar and the Ravens not being that good. Lamar's being average. Lamar's not doing this. But yet when the Ravens win, they have like 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. Oh, the Ravens play well. Yeah, they did a really good job. On to the next topic.
A whole lot of backpedaling.
Like what? Like, really? Like the Stephen A. Smith clip they showed literally a week before, it was Lamar where he's wearing the Cowboys jersey, whatever. Is Lamar worth the money? And he said flat out no. Said flat out no. And Shannon yelled it from the rooftop, yelling it from the LA and stuff. No. And then they come back this week and said, oh, yeah, he's worth the money. Yeah.
We can do a whole
They denied they said it.
Right. They like we don't have videotape. Like, we can't go back and see what you said last week. Man.
It's ridiculous. The lack of accountability.
And let's say you said, again, I've been seeing it since Lamar got in the league. Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith especially have never really liked Lamar Jackson. They haven't. They don't like his style of play. They like more of the stand in the pocket passer. Like, they don't like the fact that he can run around and make plays with his feet and all that other stuff. I said in the group chat, I don't think they like the fact that he has braids and he has his hair braided up and stuff like that. I don't think they like it. I think they like the clean cut, professional, whatever look that may be, in the corporate world, in the corporate setting. But Lamar, what I love about Lamar and what the Ravens are allowing him to be himself. They're not asking him, hey, change your hair. Steve Bisciott's not coming out. Yeah, I want you to cut your. Steve Bisciott's like, let Lamar do his thing. Let Lamar do his thing. Let Zay do his thing. Like he's the team, the Ravens himself, I think, is starting to really let Lamar kind of put his imprint now on the team for sure. Like I'm not saying it's 2019 yet, but they're starting to feel like, the way they were celebrating with each other and having each other's back, and like they're starting to get back to that. They're starting to.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I think that it's gonna be. Look, they got a lot of issues free agency wise. They got Matty BK coming up at the end of the year, Geno Stone at the end of the year. Like,
yeah,
let's go win it now, man. Go win it now because we're gonna lose some guys. But all right, let me take the shades off real quick.
All right,
glasses. Okay. All right, I think so.
We had to get that off.
Yeah.
Get that off our chest first.
Other week 7 news. So we saw the 49ers lose second straight game to the Vikings. Christian McCaffrey's in and out of the game for the most part. Debo's not there, he's out. Look, he's played this is his 17th game officially. That was his 17th game. He's played a full season. He's gone he went 15-2, I think, for 17 games. The last 2 games have not looked great. I mean, look, to be honest with you, if Christian McCaffrey and Debo go down, it's gonna be really hard, especially you're not using George Kittle right now. Like Brandon Ayuk is really the only target for him to throw to at this point, really get the ball to. So it was a rough game for him. He had a bad pick at the end of the game. But a lot of people now on the national media are already saying, "Oh, he's trash. He's not as good as we thought he was." And like, look, he came from Iowa State. He wasn't a high draft pick. But again, he's only played 17 games. Like, I'm not going to judge this man harshly until he's played. Once he finishes this year out, depending on where the 49ers end up. Now, if he continues to have these bad games and they just look worse and worse and worse, all right, then maybe we can say something. But if you have a bounce back game next week, and look, for the 49ers, this is probably something a little humbling they needed. I think after that Cowboys win, they probably feel themselves a little bit. We just beat the Cowboys, stomped all over them. George Kittle gets 3 touchdowns in the game, and then they come back and lose 2 straight games now. The Eagles win a tough game against Miami. We'll get to that next. But, I mean, I wouldn't say it's time to panic if you're the 49ers. Would you guys think it's time to panic yet?
I don't think Brock Purdy is trash. I'll say that. But he was kind of part of a super team almost. I mean, with Christian McCaffrey and Debo Samuel healthy on that team, is very little that they ask from Brock Purdy. When both of those guys are on the field, you can pretty much just manage the football game and have a dominant victory on that team, especially the way the defense was playing. He's going to look good. And I do credit a lot of that to the success he's had up to this point. I don't think he's trash, but based on the situation he's in, I understand why the expectations are high for him. But now that, Christian McCaffrey, he's a little bit banged up. He's still playing, but he's a little bit banged up. And now that Debo's, been out the last few weeks, you're kind of seeing, what you're going to get from him. I mean, he was still dealing in that game a little bit. I mean, he still had over 230 something plus yards passing, mainly to Ayuk. Ayuk was getting busy, so he was dealing a lot to him. George Kittle had, a good amount of yards too in that game, but that might not be enough for him. I mean, I think, having a healthy Christian McCaffrey and having Debo on the field, a lot of their games are filled with a whole bunch of screen passes, a whole lot of play action to Debo. Like it's a lot that comes with having both of those two players specifically on the field with that offense. And I think he's benefited from that a great deal. So, I don't think they hit the panic button. Hopefully they can get some guys back healthy. But honestly, from what I saw, the defense didn't look as great as what it normally looks either. And I think that's the bigger concern because another piece of how Brock Purdy's success has come from is because he's had a solid defense to back him up. And that Vikings offense, those wide receivers were running all around that secondary in San Francisco. It looked crazy. Addison or who was the other guy? Who the other receiver? Addison or is it Madison? I might be getting her name.
It's
Madison.
Jordan Addison.
Yeah, Addison's the receiver, Madison's the running back.
Yeah, like they were just running circles on that
He
secondary.
snatched the ball from the 49ers.
Yeah,
It was an
yeah.
interception.
And that was like it was like payback because they kind of did that to him.
Yeah.
I think the
Earlier.
first time when he got the interception, and he paid him back like 15 times after that. I'm like, so he snatched the ball with him for that touchdown, and then he scored maybe 2 more times. I can't remember. He scored a couple of touchdowns. So like, I think that's the biggest concern really with Brock Purdy. I mean, I think he can get it done. You know, maybe even without Debo possibly, but you know, it's the defense that I think they lean on the most. And this Vikings game, at least, they did not play the greatest. So,
yeah, I mean, at this point in Brock Purdy's career, he's a game manager.
Yeah.
I mean, if you put him in a system with talented players that he can distribute the ball to, he's going to have numbers. He's going to be able to win games. He's not going to lose the games for you. I'm not saying he's a game manager like Trent Dilfer, where he's going to throw for 115 a game and maybe get you a touchdown. But Brock Purdy is a guy that just thrives within talent. He's not a guy that's going to be the talent that goes out and wins you the game when everything falls apart. And I think that's the expectation, at least right now, that we got to have of him. So I don't have anything negative to say about him. I mean, he's doing what I expect him to do. And without Debo, with an injured Christian McCaffrey, I don't expect greatness. I expect solid play.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm totally with Trey, man. That defense is looking awful. Like Minnesota was smoking them. Minnesota, Jordan Addison, they let TJ Hawkinson, who was no scrub, but they had him looking like
he looked
the
crazy.
number 1 tight end in the league.
For real.
And without Justin Jefferson, they don't even have the number 1. They did that without Justin Jefferson.
Right.
That's the crazy part is.
So I'm wondering, like, did the Niners get a little exposed? I mean, and I think Fred Warner got hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
Got a little banged up in the game. So, man, that defense is looking shaky. But yeah, for all of that, man, yeah, let's chill on Brock Purdy, give him some time. But I would be a little concerned with Debo Samuel out. But yeah, that defense, like, they got to regroup. Because that was a team showing. They lost the game for them.
Well, I mean, look, Nick Bosa's only got 2.5 sacks on the season. He got that huge contract, and he's got 2.5 sacks. He has 0 in that Vikings game. He's got to play better. I want to hear everybody talk Jalen Hurts and talking about Lamar Jackson worth the money. Is Nick Bosa worth the money right now? Is he worth the money right now? Because if you pay him on past performance, 15.5 sacks 2021 and 18 in 2022. He's got 2 right now through 7 weeks.
Yeah, and their contracts are set up for them to win now. They have a lot of bloated contracts in San Francisco.
With Debo, Debo and Nick Bosa alone. I mean,
yeah, McCaffrey too.
Yeah.
And I think some people in that secondary. So this is concerning. They have to win now. I wouldn't be surprised if they made some moves. If they got a part of the Titans fire sale, or
get Danielle Hunter. Like if Nick Bosa isn't doing what he wants to do right now, if he feels he's getting double team or triple team, maybe you need to ask somebody else on the other side, a pass rusher. I guess another question: the Kyle Shanahan offense, right? It's exciting to watch. They can score a lot and everything else, but I feel like it's not really made for a quarterback to make adjustments. Like he has Jimmy G. Like he has a certain type of quarterback that runs this offense. And it just kind of feels like, is this offense really ever going to be Super Bowl worthy if you don't have a quarterback that, trusts his eyes and trusts his instincts and allows them to make changes to the plays? Like we see what Lamar is doing over the last few weeks, and we see him changing up the plays, checking in and out of plays, moving guys along the line and stuff like that with Todd Monken. I don't think Brock Purdy really does that a lot. Like he gets the play, and in the way Kyle Shanahan has schemed it up, it's made to be successful.
Right.
But without Christian and without Debo there, now you're really relying on Brock Purdy to make better decisions. Like he's going to have to make decisions as a quarterback. But again, I don't think the play calling allows, I don't know what the routes or whatever that may be, for him to have a check down, to have a guy that he can, his 1, 2, 3 option. Like he kind of just, here's the ball, I got to throw it here because that's what the play calls for. So I always wonder, like with the college, I know he's great at scheming out the plays, but is he kind of, are the 49ers offense really going to ever be a Super Bowl champion of Kyle Shanahan if this offense doesn't allow for any kind of adjustment? You know,
yeah,
that's my thing. Yeah, on it since we told the Eagles and Dolphins. It looked a lot closer than what it actually was. I noticed how Sunday Night Football was. They showed that stat of who the Dolphins have beat. I think of all the teams that they beat, everybody has there's 2 wins combined among the teams that they've beaten. If anything, the Eagles they said they're going to bring physicality, and that's exactly what they did, offense and defense. Lane Johnson and them they're pushing the Dolphins around, defensive line around. Jalen didn't have a phenomenal game, but AJ Brown, he had another he leads the league in 125-yard games right now. He's got 6 total. I think he's had a 100+ game since week 1. Every game he's played for the Eagles this year, he has 125 yards. We are all talking about Tyreek Hill getting 2,000 yards. AJ Brown, that far off, man. He's balling right now. That Eagles defense, you got Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter there in the interior. He's gonna do. You can't do much, man. You can't do much there. You still got Hassan Reddick out there. Slade made a good pick in the game after I think he hadn't played well the last few weeks, but he made a great play there. It just goes to show that I said this. Look, the Dolphins are coming from they said they're a front running team. They're good when they're ahead, when they are up by 14, 20 points, but when they have to battle in a game and they got to again out physical, they're fast and everything, but when you're getting hit in the mouth like that and getting pushed around and stuff, it's kind of hard to run when guys are hitting you in the mouth and stuff. And Tua didn't play a terrible game, but I was not as high as everybody else was on the Dolphins. I was like, they got to show me. They did the same thing last year. They did the same. They were hot. They were real hot, real fast. Then when it started getting colder and they started having to go travel to colder areas, I was like, when it gets cold, that speed is going to slow down. It's going to get real slow. And as good as Mike Daniel is at drawing up schemes and stuff, and it's flashy. Kind of reminds me of a Chip Kelly offense a little bit. It's real flashy and throw up a lot of points. It may be great in college, but the NFL, he's going to need to run the football. They throw way too much. They throw the opportunities they keep giving other teams. If they're going to be in these tight battles, the fact that you're going 3 and out so fast, you can't. They couldn't run the football at all against the Eagles. They couldn't do it at all. So all they had to do was throw the football, but 3 and out, 3 and out. You're giving the Eagles, and then you're giving them the ball back. I think they said the Eagles held on. The Eagles got 10 first downs in the 4th quarter or something crazy like that. They were just possession. They just kept the football every time. And now I want to talk about the one play I hate. I'm not going to ban it, but the one play they were saying, it made a great point. How frustrating does it have to be as a defense, right? You stop a team on 3 downs, but it's 4th and 1, 4th and 2. And the Eagles probably have the most unstoppable play in the NFL right now. It's again, they were I don't know if they've tried it for 4th and 2, but with what they get on it, they could probably get 2 yards easy on that play every single time. Every time. How do you stop that? They showed the Dolphins lineman, the defensive tackle, trying to get as low as Jason Kelce.
It was crazy.
They're trying, the teams are trying, I'm pretty sure, in practice who were playing the Eagles, trying to stop this play. They can't. Nobody can stop it. And they're not eking it out where it's I think they might have gotten. They're clearly getting 1-2 yards every single time on this play. I'll just say this. I hope they don't win a Super Bowl that way.
Yeah.
They better not. They better not win the Super Bowl in a tush push. They better not.
Well, we've seen it. We've seen them try it in the Super Bowl multiple times. I mean,
Yeah.
And the one that they the loss, what was it? The Chiefs, was that last year against the Chiefs?
Yeah, Chiefs.
Yeah, they did get stopped on one of them.
They did.
And I
All it
think
takes is one, right? All it takes is one
it was
time.
in the Super Bowl. But yeah, I think Miami, a little in over their head a little bit. They do look a lot different when they travel to these certain cities. Philly is a tough place to play in. And like you said, Miles, they had almost no run game. I think had they had, I think Devon Achane, who's on IR right now, he's been really good for them earlier in the season when he came back from injury the first time. The tandem between him and Mostert was phenomenal, dynamic. I think they were obviously a heavy part of that 70-point game, but even games outside of that, the combination with those two, it was like almost unstoppable. And against, not saying that they would have did this against his Eagles team, but they would have been able to do more. And their running game, it just was non-existent. Tua played okay, and granted, Tyreek Hill, he had a good game, but he did drop a touchdown pass pretty much.
Yeah, he ran too fast. He was running too
Had
fast.
the pass like literally put right in his chest, and he was in stride. Like he was going straight to the end zone. So he did drop that. That does not help. But yeah, I think it came down, like you said, Eagles defense is legit. I think as far as teams that I trust, Eagles is up there with probably the top team that I trust in the NFC, especially. This is probably my number one team in the NFC. It's obviously with the 49ers regressing a little bit. I think they're the clear favorite over there, and we'll continue to see. I mean, Jalen Hurts has not played great this season, but luckily he has enough weapons around him that a lot of that can make up for what he's doing. But he's also a little bit hampered too now. Like it seems like he was playing a little hurt as well. So we'll kind of continue to see what happens with that. But yeah, I think Miami. I'm not sure who they got this week, but I think they're going to go back, and whoever they play next week they're going to be back to their old selves. I just think they ran into that defense. Like it is what it is. I don't think they're better than the Eagles anyway. So yeah, we'll see. I mean,
We got the Patriots this week.
Tua, I will say, in a loss, he's silenced a lot of critics. I mean, he has a lot of weapons over there, but the knocks that he had on him in previous seasons, even though they didn't go to where they wanted to go, he couldn't throw deep, he couldn't do this, he couldn't do that. I mean, he's gelling with those receivers over there, and I mean, they didn't play the best in this Eagles game, but you can see what it was. And I mean, the Eagles also had the advantage because Waddle was kind of in and out of that game too because he was hurt. So it was like he didn't really have his full arsenal available with him. I think them completely healthy, we might have seen a slightly better game, but the Eagles still, like you said, they showed up defensively. So I'm not surprised at the outcome, and I don't think that game is going to deter them. I mean, like I said, I think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it's surprising that Miami threw the ball so much and didn't rely on their running game. I know the Eagles are very stout up front. I mean, Jordan Davis, I mean, I'm happy with who we drafted, but Jordan Davis he reminds me of Sam Adams back in the day. He just clogs up the middle.
Wow.
And Miami actually led the league in rushing coming into this game. So, yeah, man, I just don't know why they didn't attack the run more or balance out their offense. But I just honestly, I think we're at the point in the season where 7 weeks in, the preseason and ramping up from like not getting a lot of preseason work, that excuse is out the window. We're starting to see the teams that are truly good and truly can execute and are going to be contenders. And I've had doubts about Miami. We've heard the cold weather thing, and I think this was in Philly. So we've heard the cold weather thing. And, this plays up to it. But honestly, I just think, what I saw in that game was a difference in toughness up front and throughout the game. I mean, A.J. Brown played reminded me of David Boston back in the day. You know, David Boston was 250 pounds of steroids. He would just run through people.
Yeah.
Just more athletic.
Yeah.
AJ Brown.
Yeah. So, you know, I just felt like the Eagles were tougher. They made the plays that they had to make. And Tua had some miscues, but I think Miami's going to be all right. But there are some things they have to hone out and creating more balance because they have backs, they have running backs that can make plays, but they need to be able to make winning plays for 4 quarters. And it seems like there's a little bit of chink in that armor, especially coming down from that 70-point massacre they gave the Broncos. So honestly, I for both teams, I'm not seeing contenders yet. I'm seeing 2 pretenders, but I think the Eagles do have like a beast in AJ Brown who's going to make some plays that make a difference in crunch time. But you know, I don't think they're really going to be a contender until Jalen Hurts starts playing more consistently. I think he's getting benefited from his weapons, but we'll see. We'll see. I thought it was a solid game. I think both teams just have a lot to work on.
Yeah, it's from the Dolphins standpoint, I'll say this from the head coaching thing. Like they said, sometimes when you got these offensive coordinators that are head coaches, they kind of forget that you have to be a head coach first, right? When you're offensive coordinator, your job is to score points. There's points in the game where you need to start worrying about clock management, right? You don't want to give the other team the ball. Andy Reid obviously does that probably the best out of anyone. He's had numerous years and failures where he can look back on, and now that he's winning Super Bowls. But they said sometimes you forget if you're offensive coordinator, like your job is to score points, but now as a head coach, now you got to manage the game. And I think that's something that these young guys and like Mike McDaniel especially don't have to learn. Where it's like when you're playing a team like the Eagles, and the way they run the football and they play defense, they're going to keep the ball out of your hands. And it's one of those things where it's like feast or famine for that Miami's offense. If they're on, they're great. But if they're dropping the ball's not getting there, or they're getting picks, it's spooky. Like it's feast or like it's if they don't really have a lot of room to really like mess up kind of thing, right? They're like, oh, we'll get it back next drive. Like we don't have the defense right now that can keep us in football games. If we're not scoring and we don't score in this drive and the other team doesn't, we're going to be a little bit of trouble. Like, so it's going to have to come down where Mike McDaniel's going to have to like sit back maybe a little bit and like, I understand you would like to score 60 points a game. That's great. I understand you want to do that, but you may have to be aware of who you're playing and especially how they play football. And it'd be interesting to see how it goes against Bill Belichick. Like the Patriots finally got a win. They finally got a win. So I think Bill Belichick's feeling good. And, Bill Belichick loves playing against younger head coaches. Like just to out-scheme them and stuff. I don't think he has the talent to beat the Dolphins. But, with the history of Miami, the Dolphins and the Patriots I think it's especially, or they're playing in Miami too. So the Patriots usually don't play well in Miami. But they're going to get back a home game, so they might turn around there. But again, I think that's one of those things that makes this Dolphins team. I think they are definitely a playoff team. Like they'll definitely make the playoffs, but staying in the playoffs, winning those tight games, that's where I think you, as a head coach, got to turn off that switch from offensive coordinator. Now I got to manage the football game. So, tell this real quick. What's up with Deshaun Watson? He goes 1 for 5 in that game against the Colts. Apparently gets hurt. Whatever he said is what I saw when they flipped to the game. I was riding the light rail back when they flipped to the game. He had his helmet on, his pads on, and stuff. Like I thought he was going back out there. Never went back out there. And now he's a healthy scratch. Well, he's technically injured. He's a scratch from this game coming up this week. I don't think he wants to be there anymore. I don't think I think they're losing. And again, he's not helping them win at this point. The team doesn't seem to be gelling around. Again, I thought this was going to be an issue. I said this before week 1, that Deshaun Watson in that locker room, considering what he did off the field and stuff like that, is maybe an issue with camaraderie and dealing with the guys and stuff like that, where I don't know. It just feels like Deshaun doesn't want to be there, and the team doesn't want him there at this point. But with all the salary cap issues and dead cap money, they have no other options. He's stuck. Unless they buy out his contract or something, or I don't know what, maybe got to do the Bobby Bonilla thing, pay him over the next 50 years or something like that to try to work out this deal. But it's look, a lot of people were saying this is what the Browns get, right? This is the Browns get for giving a fully guaranteed contract to a guy that just settled 11 civil lawsuits for sexual harassment. So I mean, and look, and a guy who forced his way out of Houston, he wanted his way out of Houston, and he got what he asked for. Both sides got what they asked for, but I don't think this is the outcome that they thought was going to happen with both of them.
Yeah, it's a tough spot, but kind of is what it is. I mean, you sign something unprecedented like that type of deal, you got to make sure that it's for the right reasons. And I think it's kind of like karma a little bit as well, because the fact that he had all that going on and you guys had no proof whether where this was going to go, if he actually did those things, if it was actually malicious, was it not? The fact that you don't know, but you still guarantee this type of money to that person, it just tells you as an organization, where your morals lie, and all you care about is winning. And unfortunately, the Browns thought they were getting the best quarterback in the league, and that's why they obviously signed him to that deal. And they couldn't have been much worse. I mean, much more wrong than what they were, because from what we've seen of Deshaun Watson, I think late last year, after his suspension ended after week 10 or 11 or whatever that was, we saw him warm up a little bit, and then it kind of like leveled off, and then that was that. And now this year, it's kind of seeming like almost as if he's just kind of complacent with just collecting a check. And why I say that is because, yes, he's been injured on and off, but look at these injuries. It's been a couple of times this season where he hasn't played, and it was a game time decision where he didn't play. It wasn't like this was something on the injury report where he was doubtful and didn't play. We're talking about showed up to the game, warmed up, and they decided that he wasn't going to play. So that just kind of leads me to believe that, he just kind of riding the wave at this point. Maybe he wants to be traded, and this is his way of showing the team that he wants to be traded without saying, because they did bless him with all that money. So who wants to say that out loud? The team that just gave you the bag and now you want to leave. But you're not going to get traded for that money. Like, nobody's going to take on that contract at this point. We've already seen what you've got to offer. So it wouldn't be a good deal to anybody else now. It's not even a good deal to where you are. There's literally no situation where that would actually make sense at this point, unfortunately. I'm more so laughing at the teams who didn't hop on Lamar when Lamar was on that unexclusive franchise tag. And now, look at the teams that immediately opted out when that happened.
The Falcons, right?
Remember the Falcons? The Falcons should have been the number one. It is what it is. It was a bunch of teams. We know who they are, and they decided not to bite. So I'm actually more, I'm obviously more surprised at that. A whole lot of teams, hating themselves for that. But this Deshaun Watson, I mean, Cleveland Browns organization in a nutshell, man. Like the team that's had the most starting quarterbacks, like probably ever. Like as far as the turnover over there in that organization, it's actually disgusting. Like it's just a trash organization. And what way to put the exclamation point on how trash they are than to bind them up in a situation like this that's going to lock them up for $240 million, as if they had that to spare in the first place. And on top of that, they're screwed for the draft for the next few years.
Yeah,
because you gave up draft picks for this guy. So it's a joke. I mean, he got a couple of wins, and cool. The record looks great, not largely due to him, but they're still in it somehow, and that's because they have a really good defense. But outside of that, just karma. It just is what it is. This is more Browns Browning, but this is just to the highest level we've ever seen.
Yeah. Man, this may be that out for them to get out of the contract. There's something brewing there. I
You feel
feel
like there's
like
something
something's about to leak. Something
reneging.
is
They're gonna
about to
renege on
leak.
the contract.
They
Personal
definitely
conduct.
reneging.
And maybe he knows something's coming, and
He
maybe
knows.
that's why he's acting.
Yeah,
He's not,
it's something's not right here. Like there's something that's gonna come out soon, and we're not talking about Dwight Howard. Like there's something that's coming, and
I was late on that one.
anyway, there's something on the way. There's something definitely on the way.
We do not condone bullying on this pod. Continue.
Dwight Howard did it to himself, man.
Hey, not just
Sexual-
himself.
Sexual assault. Come on now.
Yeah, but there's something to brew. It's brewing, and we're gonna find out soon enough. I don't think this is just an injury. It doesn't make sense. Like the way they're pulling the plug, it just doesn't make sense. And I don't know if it's an unhappiness solely on Deshaun's side, because what do you have to be unhappy about? This team gave you the chance.
Yeah.
You're not losing because of the team, losing because of you. So I don't know what it is, but I know that organization isn't happy. I know they realized they made a mistake, and I know they want to move forward. I think they realize like we actually have a team that just needs a quarterback that is competent at this point that can make plays, and that's what they need. I think they realize like they're locked up, and they don't have a pathway to get better with this guy on the roster. So I think you're gonna see some things come out in the media. I'm predicting it over the next 3 weeks, and I don't see Deshaun on this roster next season.
Yeah, they're gonna exploit a loophole or something.
Yeah,
you know they're working on it. You know they got to be
like that.
I'll say this though, it's going to be tough because you know how they colluded against Colin Kaepernick, and seemed like they were colluding off announcing about Lamar and not making sure he didn't get his money. I wouldn't be like, look, the owners made it very clear they were pissed off with the Browns for even signing that contract. They're not going to help by trading for Deshaun Watson. They're going to let the Browns stew in this. So you guys are right. I think the only way out of this would be I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a Netflix documentary come out next year or two. But the Browns set up some kind of massage visit or something like that, and Deshaun just couldn't help himself. Like just couldn't help himself, and got you. I wouldn't be surprised they're trying to just catch him in just precarious situations. Like, just he wants you to do something to avoid this contract, something to get out of this deal. But yeah, you guys are right. It just seems odd, right? It just doesn't. Something not right. Yeah. Something not right. That was something. What's the old Hamlet saying? I can't. Something's rotten in Cleveland. Something's rotten in Cleveland.
Yep.
All right. Well, before we get out of here, let's talk about this Ravens Cardinals game. So the Ravens heading to Arizona, going to play Cardinals. Going to meet up with our good old friend Marquise Brown. He's out there in Arizona now. Flew out in a private jet. He was excited to be out there with the Cardinals, and Kyler Murray is working his way back, and Joshua Dobbs was like he will be starting this game. So we're gonna miss. I think we had thought that Kyler Murray would be back by now, but he's working his way back. Now look, the Cardinals. Look, this is a scrappy team. They don't have a lot of talent. They do play well for their head coach, Jonathan Gannon. It was the defensive coordinator for the Eagles. So at least the defensive side of the ball, I think, is going to be somewhat prepared for the Ravens. However, I was looking at like the stats and stuff for the Cardinals, and team stat wise, they actually give up the most points in the fourth quarter of anybody in NFL. They like implode in the fourth quarter. If it's a tight game, they implode. They're not that good. They're also 60% of the time they're giving up touchdowns in the red zone. One of the worst average percentages in the NFL. 60%. That's worse than the Lions. Like it's before the Lions played the Ravens, the Lions were pretty good in the red zone, and the Ravens put up 5 or 6 of them in the red zone. So look, the show we did. I don't think it was before this one. It may have been before the other one before that. The one thing about the Ravens that's consistent is inconsistent. I'm hoping that ended last week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm praying that ended last week, that we're seeing a shift in this team. And I'm thinking that as we see Lamar continue to have more control of this offense and not letting Harbaugh kind of dictate what's going on and letting Lamar kind of dictate and let Lamar Munkin kind of tune Harbaugh out a little bit about what he wants to do. Like, no, we're going to do this. Like, no, Lord, what Harbaugh said, let's go do this.
Yeah.
I think it showed in that Lions game. They definitely did. Like, they worked the middle. Like, what we said about the Greg Roman offense, while they weren't attacking the middle of the field. The middle of the field for the Ravens would be wide open, and all the receivers be running routes on the hashes.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's on the outside. Where is the middle of the field? Where is anybody running routes in the middle of the field? We saw all of that on Sunday. They were running all over the middle of the field, wide open. Middle of the field was wide open, and that's Lamar's sweet spot. He loves throwing the middle of the field. And we finally saw that in the Lions game. Like I said, it was there in the Pittsburgh game too. It was there.
Right.
So I think the recipe for this Ravens team is pretty simple. This Arizona Cardinals offense is not that good. I was looking. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if this is right. They have 247 yards rushing total through 7 weeks. They can't run the football. I was like, am I reading this right? 247 yards in 7 weeks.
And he had James Conner for all of those games?
Yes.
Oh, no. Hey, I'm not even trying to. James Conner got a lot of rushing yards this year. He got more than that.
I'm about to say that. Yeah,
James Conner been going off.
That. James Conner gotta have more rushing yards than that. He's actually all that they have.
Yeah.
Like that's what it sounds like. So I'm like, so they have.
Hold up.
This is right.
Oh no, that's a strength of theirs. They can't pass the ball, but they can run the ball.
Yeah, they have 342. Was that 342?
He has 364 rushing yards
by himself.
Okay,
Yeah.
so last week against
still isn't a ton of yards for that many games. So no, this can't. Is this right?
This is old. Yeah, this is old. My bad. This is old.
It's got to be old.
Yeah. Anyway, they're not that good on offense.
Yeah, it says he has 364 yards, average 5 yards a carry, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, they average 139 a game.
68 carries?
So yeah, they're only averaging 180.9 yards, 28th in the league. They're also giving up 237 yards on defense, passing. So they're this is exactly what the Ravens want. If Lamar is going to have another 300+ yard game, I said again, it's on turf. They're indoors. Look, Lamar and Marquise will have a good little reunion when they get out there, but I would have to assume that I'm pretty sure Roquan is going to tell Lamar, like, look, I know he's your boy and everything. I know he's your boy. But if he comes across the middle, I'm knocking his ass out. Like, let's be real. Like, the Corey had put up in the comments, he was like, the Roquan had told security, what did he say? He said for the Lions game.
Oh, yeah.
He said he talked to team security and said, we'll decide when to let the Lions out the bank, and we did. Like with Roquan, they said Roquan has been on one since I think they said since that Browns game.
Box off.
Like he's just been talking. Like he's in it now. Like this is his defense. This is his defense, and he's talking trash, and I love it. And but again, like I said, this they're a scrappy team. The Cardinals. They play tough. They did beat the Cowboys. But again, I don't think they really have an answer for a guy like Lamar. I don't think they have an answer for him. With what Lamar can do and the way that look, again, everybody played perfect. I think Lions game. Are they going to play perfect every week? I don't think that's feasible, especially for the offensive side. We've seen the defense is done. We have game footage and stuff of watching the defense play the same great football each week. Can the Ravens now start stacking, like you said, Travis? Can they start stacking these? Now, there's the perfect opportunity to do so. These like next 2 or 3 games. There's the perfect opportunity to do this, to stack these wins. And this is a team, again, they're more waiting about, like they're at the point now where they're just kind of going through the motions. Like they kind of realized, like even when Kyler Murray gets back, we're not really a playoff team. We gave away some of our best players already. They traded away Isaiah. Was it Simmons? They traded away him. So I'm like, they gave away their best players. Like many people said that I don't think there are many guys that would even start on this Ravens team that play for the Cardinals right now. Like they said, Buda Baker maybe, and I think one of the linebackers they have, a Jeer, I think his name is. Yeah, outside of that, they were like, I don't think anybody would even. There's no one on that Cardinals defense or offense that you would replace on the Ravens side, right? Yeah, I mean, I think for the Ravens, the key would be we have as much as we praise coaching going into this game, the Lions game. They got to keep them up now. Like they got to make sure, like you said, I love the attitude that in the post game they were mellow, they weren't too high on themselves, and they were kind of focused on next week. And I think that's the most important thing you can do for a team when you have a big win like that. Don't have a more embarrassing loss the next week. And I think Harbaugh, Lamar, and them know that. But I'm pretty sure Lamar and the Ravens, they see these shows and stuff, right? They know if he goes out there and throws a dud against Arizona, they're going to be right back. They'll have that segment already queued up. They're going to have that segment queued up. See, I told you Lamar wasn't consistent. I told you I couldn't trust Lamar. People were saying they had James Jones on speak on FS1 saying he trusted Jared Goff more than he trusted Lamar Jackson.
I saw that.
I was like, are you?
And did you see him after the game?
Yes, I saw him. Not
taking accountability. He gloated about him. But he never went back.
He was more about, the Lions just didn't show up to play. It was the Lions' fault they lost that game. Like, all right, man. All right, you didn't see Lamar throwing all those dimes across the field. Okay. You trusted Jared Goff. Jared Goff was playing on the same field. He was making throws too. He wasn't completing passes.
Jared Goff was seeing ghosts. He folded under pressure.
Yeah, he definitely did.
Yeah.
So I'm like, look, like it's so Lamar knows that, and I think he's playing some of his best football right now, and I think he's only going to get better. So again, they're playing a 4:00 game. The weather's going to be nice. It's going to be indoors. I'm a little worried about the turf, though. When guys getting hurt. A little worried about the turf. So hopefully that's not mainly an issue. But now that the Cardinals have some film on them and teams know, like they're a little scrappy and they'll be around that first and second quarter. But it's one of those things where I think if the Ravens just stick to their game plan, much like they did against the Lions, and they get up on them early, if they're front running, I don't think the Cardinals they're going to be catching them. If the Ravens do what they need to do and they get 14, 20 points in the first half, I don't think there's much of a game after that.
Yeah. Lamar just these NFC teams, man, he just be rolling them. I mean,
he's got one loss. He's like 6-1, right? 6-1 all time.
16. And I think he might be 17-1 after the
Lions game.
After the Lions game.
Yep.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So, I don't know what it is. I guess it's just teams just in the NFC they're just not used to seeing Lamar. Like, I mean, when he shows up, he just lights fire to these NFC teams. But like you said, Miles, this is definitely the perfect opportunity to kind of build on what we started 2 weeks ago. Like from the London game, that first half of the game, great first half. All of the Lions game, obviously they played a great game, but they still have some stuff they need to tune up on, like Travis mentioned with the, with some of the routes and the some of the clunky plays or whatever the case may be. But I don't really have any concerns. I mean, as far as just the keys to victory is really just to do exactly what we did last week. I think we'll actually have to do less of that in this game. As far as game plan, I think I want to see us still run the ball a little bit more because I think we'll be able to run the ball efficiently on them. We still want to be able to have that always in our back pocket. So I think we'll be able to do that. And from what I'm hearing about Arizona, their secondary is garbage.
It's trash.
So with that being said, we should have a big day in the air as well. So yeah, offensively, really have no quarrels, but I definitely need us to build on what we started because I just think with each game, like the games that we stacked that are similar to last week, I mean, that's going to just pay dividends for us for all these games that we have coming up because, yeah, we're on a nice little stretch now, but the schedule is going to start getting tougher again. I mean, we got teams like, towards the end of the year, we got to play the Steelers again. We got San Fran. We got Seattle at some point down the road. Seattle again. Good. Yep. Miami, we got to play the Dolphins. Like, Chargers, I mean, they're not looking great, but who knows what they're going to be looking like by then. Like, our schedule is going to get crazy. So this is definitely an opportunity to go in, build in, you know, confirm what we already know. Just another week of doing that, and then we're going to be fine. Defense, our defense is not going to need no pep talk against these boys. I mean, if they continue to be as dominant, you just have to do the same thing. There's not really anybody over there, like you said, that's a threat offensively that um that I can think of. Hollywood, to me, honestly, he looks more comfortable in that offense, even though he may not be necessarily that much more successful, if that makes any sense. Like, I will say that for some reason, he looks a little bit more comfortable. Like, he looks like he's been a part of that team. He looks like a number one receiver, even though he's not really producing like one. He has had his share of drops over there also, from what I've noticed. So I don't expect anything different from Hollywood than what we already know about him from when he was in Baltimore. So I'm not really seeing him as too much of a threat, even though I think it might still be okay fit for him over there. But yeah, that's really it. I just want to see more more of the same as far as what we were able to do last week. I want to see more of the same in this Arizona game. We are traveling. I don't want us to overlook this team because at the end of the day, it's still an NFL team, and complacency gets you tore up in the NFL. So I don't think we're in that mindset at all. I think they're in the right state now where okay, we understand what we got to do mentally, where we need to be, and so on. So I'm cool, man. I'm just overall impressed, and not really just I know we already did the recap of that game last week, but the fact that you flew back from London and y'all had a game
played that way,
played like that at home, and now we're back on the plane back to the West Coast. I think we just need to carry that momentum right over to Arizona and take care of business. I think it's going to be a solid performance. We'll be confirming some more information. I think this is the game that's going to Lamar's back in the MVP race, but I think this is the game that's going to kind of like elevate him even higher towards the top. So that's what I'm looking forward to in this game.
Yeah. The one thing we always have to look out for, Miles' favorite phrase, the hardball game.
The hardball game.
This is the setup for a perfect hardball game. But there was one thing I don't know if Miles or Trey said it earlier about the previous game. There was an attitude switch. And I don't know if it was due to the conditions with the wind, but receiving that kickoff was different. It's away from the norm. But I felt like it wasn't the conditions because they weren't able to, like, I think if you win the toss, you can't choose which side you're kicking. Right. So I think it was more of like, hey, we're coming out and we're going to smack you in the mouth. I think that was the strategy there. And I think if that's where we're headed, I think that sets this up to not be a hardball game. So I'm anticipating, this team, their secondary is horrible. They're not good against the run. They're not good against the pass. They're just an overall awful defense. I think they give about 26, 27 points a game. It's a setup for us to continue our domination. It's not like I don't think Arizona's played like too tough of a schedule. I can't remember who they played off the bat. Let me pull it up. Yeah, outside of maybe San Fran, maybe Cincy, it's not like they played a bunch of like world beater teams. I mean, they're 1-6. This should be a game where we really enforce our domination. We impose our will on the game. I think we should come out smacking them in the mouth with the run game, set up some play action, sprinkle in some RPOs, really focus on the things that we do well, and run that score up. I mean, this is a game where I will be disappointed if we don't. After what we did last week, I'll be disappointed if we don't put up 30. I think this is a great game to get Odell more involved, get him some more targets. I know he got 7 last week, but get him some easy plays, get him warmed up, and then really let Zay have his way. I mean, we need everything to be Zay's way going forward. I mean, I know I talked about we have this wide receiver one by committee, but I think there has to be a point in time if we're going to be a Super Bowl contender, where Zay has to be that guy. And let's start with this game. Start really targeting him. I know we're playing to spread the ball around, but let's have some plays just for Zay. Try to scheme him open because he's unguardable. And with their DBs, he could have a field day. I'm talking 150 plus yards. He could go off for. So I say let's really like come out, dominate, hit Zay on the deep passes, and let's really run up the score offensively. I think defensively, what I'm looking for is a continuation of what we've been doing. Get to the passer. I don't think Arizona has a great offensive line. And Josh Dobbs by far is not a starting quarterback. I mean, hey, he's putting up, 190 yards a game. He's a feel-good story, but he's not a starting quarterback in this league. I mean, he's basically 6'4" Tyler Huntley. So I honestly think we need to get to the quarterback, really fluster him, create some turnovers. And overall, I think if I really want to just summarize what I want us to do, not only impose our will, but start to build these habits that will create winning football games and we're facing tougher teams. Creating turnovers, making stops, converting third downs, not turning the ball over ourselves, playing solid special teams, and just doing what we want and exploiting the defense, not solely taking what the defense gives us, but exploiting the defense. So I want to see those things. I think it's totally possible. Hollywood, look, man, let my man Brandon Stevens lock him down.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Let him lock him down, man.
Let my man Brandon Stevens let him get his money. But Hollywood, I don't see him being a big factor. I mean, he's still the same guy. Fast guy, scared of contact, is going to drop the ball. But James Conner, he's a good back. James Conner is a good back. He's gotten a bad rap for a while, but he's starting to get some props for the way he's playing this year. But I think he's the most dangerous weapon they have. So we have to smack him in the mouth. Rowe and Patrick Queen really set the tone with him. But I think this is a game we should dominate, man. I don't have a lot to say. I just think top to bottom, like we have to dominate.
I would love to see have Marquise Brown on the sideline while watching Lamar and Zay just go to work. I love that. I love that. Just see Hollywood's face, just like.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting watching him up against Marlon and Brandon Stevens, though. Too.
Look, I don't know how they feel about how he left Baltimore, and we understood why, because Greg Roman wasn't utilizing him and things like that. But he made it seem like he was going to be this elite receiver, and he was going to do all this. And look, we have Zay, and Zay's doing, way more. Hollywood, we knew him as a straight line runner for the most part, but Zay is, working in the middle of the field. He's working the sideline. He, like I said, like he did that out route, like he on the sideline catching the ball. That was I think that play was like a 3rd and 12, 3rd and 13. And then Lamar just puts it there, and Zay just sideline catch. Like Hollywood wasn't doing stuff like that. Hollywood wasn't making catches like that. So I would love to see Marquise just on the sideline, love watching Zay in the book. And again, this defense, Marlon was there when he left. I think Brandon Stevens was there when he left, and a few other guys I think were there when Hollywood decided to leave, want to get traded. So I don't know what their mindset is about how he's there, but I'm pretty sure just to get ready for the game. They're like, look, man, this guy, don't dap him. I'm pretty sure Roquan and them don't dap him up. He ain't one of us, man. You got that Cardinals jersey on, man. Yeah. You can dap him up after the game. Isn't that right now? Nah, Roquan be like, ain't dapping up nobody, man.
Yeah, Lamar showed him some love at the press conference today, but I think that's where it'll stay.
Yeah, I think Lamar's gonna let Roquan and them do their business, man. So just wanted to read this off real quick. The Ravens right now on offense, number 10 in points, number 9 in yards per game, number 7 in points per play, number 6 in yards per play, number 5 in third down conversions, number 7 in red zone scoring, and number 7 in TDs. So right now, this is a top 10 offense in the NFL. And the defense is literally like 1 and 2 in almost every category. They're only allowing 14 points a game, 271 yards a game. opponent's third down conversion percentage is 36% and 23% in the red zone. That's it. Nobody's the number 2 in the league. Number two. They've only allowed 1 touchdown. Is that right? 1 opponent touchdowns per game, averaging
game.
one touchdown. 1. So
promising. It's promising.
All right, what's the scores? What do we think? What's the scores?
All right, so
that was the first. This Lions game was the first. We talked about it last week. This is the first time they put up 30 points since September 25th, 2022. They finally did it. So now, you can put up 30 burgers. You can say 30 is all you want if you want.
Well, last week I predicted 30. I said,
okay, you definitely did.
But I predicted 30 to 27, I think, and I had us winning 30 to 27. Little did I know.
Yeah.
We were going to destroy them. This week, man, Cardinals. I think we about to run it back, man. I think I'm gonna go 33. I think I'm gonna go 33 to. I'll give them 13 points. I'll say 33-13.
Okay.
I think we go crazy on their living room carpet, run up the score a little bit, and the only reason we don't get 40 is probably because Lamar sitting down in the fourth, hopefully.
Right.
But I do think it's a blowout. I kind of want to predict a closer game because I just feel like it was good juju when I did that. Miles, we might have to fly you out to Arizona for this one.
Oh man, right? I go to the one game I go to. The
let's get the budget together.
If the game going to turn like that every game you go to, we have to fly.
Right, I'm gonna if from now on if they start putting up 30, 40 points,
we're gonna put you on the Hollywood private jet, man, and get you out there. We'll get the Hollywood private jet to come pick you up.
Right.
Hey, that's nice.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go 33-13.
Okay.
Listen, man. This defense is giving up 14 points a game in this era of football. I think the 2000 Ravens gave up 10.8. We're 13-9. They gave up 250. We're giving up 271 in this era of football. That has nothing to do with this score. But I got us winning 42-10. It's going to be a blowout. The defense
they're going to put it on them.
This defense is going to show up because they think they are the 2000 Ravens team.
They do. They got that mindset.
They got Baby Ray, Baby Rowe, whatever you want to call them, and they're physical. Like this is the closest defense I've seen to our olden days, and I think they show up. They have that attitude. They're fierce. They like truly embody, that Ravens football that we're used to with Ray and Ed Reed and Suggs. Mm-hmm. So they're giving up 10 points. They may not even give up that. They may want to shut out because they're mad at last week. 42-10. Offense comes through. Lamar throws the ball. He's going to enter the MVP conversation. That's the game.
I'm not even going to say enter the conversation. Okay. He's going to solidify himself.
Yeah.
Because right now I think they said he's at 7-1. He's like 4th right now on the list, apparently 4th. I think he does that this week. It's him and Mahomes. It's not even close. Yeah.
I'm trolling.
Mahomes not even close.
Who Mahomes got this week? Because we need to catch up some. We need to make some headway on that. Mahomes can't keep throwing for 500 yards.
Is this
they got the Broncos?
No, not Broncos. Yeah, they do. They
Broncos. Yeah, we got Broncos.
Oh man, he's gonna put up 5 touchdowns.
You already know.
But if he doesn't.
Taylor Swift might be there though because it's Denver. She might want to hang out with Sierra.
Yeah, that's true. They may have a whole thing.
Taylor might be MVP for real.
I'm gonna say 28-8 Ravens. Okay. That's what I'm gonna say.
Check it.
I'm gonna see the Ravens do it at least a couple times, 30 points before I start being 30.
So I'm giving them a touchdown and a 2-point conversion.
Yeah, I'm giving them like they're gonna feel like they need to catch up. They're gonna get a 2-point conversion. But after that, the door just shuts. Like they shut the door after that. It's done. Ravens defense even more pissed off that they gave up a touchdown. Yeah. And he just shut it down. They just shut the whole thing down.
That's one of them. That's one of them scores on FanDuel. You can come up crazy.
Yeah. I'm gonna also say
that might be like plus 50,000 or something.
Right. I'm gonna say no fumbles from the Ravens this week. I think they've had a fumble every game
You're averaging
this
one.
season.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No fumbles this week. No fumbles. So, yeah. All right. Well, that's it for this week. So again, living large right now. You know, the Ravens beating up on the Lions and, you know, just doing their thing and everything. So, yeah, I'm just, you know, let's hope that Ravens keep this up, keep this rolling, and let the good times roll. I'm hoping for your score, Travis, 42-10. I'm hoping.
Me too.
42-10.
I'm 40. Let's do it.
5 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
That's some
If
five.
Lamar puts up something crazy, if Lamar gets like 4 touchdown passes and 1 rushing, I'm like, is it at that point? If you're on ESPN or Fox, like, is this even a race anymore? Like, come on, man.
Look,
Is this even a race
if he
anymore?
does that, I'm coming in here next week with a Shannon Sharp rant. I'm going at Shannon, Stephen A. I'm going to cut the clip up and I'm going to post it on their page every day until they respond.
Love it. All right, so that's a 4 o'clock game, 4:25. So
425.
yeah, we don't get many of these. We get like one a year. So 4:25. But thanks everybody for watching. Next week will be our 200 episodes of Live from the Hammock. So we'll do something special for or something. But thanks you guys for listening and everything, and we'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Peace.